Now, people have been giving me great instruction since I got here, and they instructed me a little about his career, that he's a fellow known for challenging the boss's head. And his win in the Democratic primary supposedly represented a defeat for that old political machine, and so forth and so on. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, there are two ways in which you can approach this issue of what you do with a political machine and the bosses. One is that you challenge that machine on behalf of the people, that you mean to see an end to the mentality that subordinates the interests of the people to the power interests of any politicians, Republicans or Democrats, bureaucrats or educrats. I believe that it is our job to serve the common good of the people of this state, not to serve the good of our own power and our own ambition. That's what I believe. And if we are going to challenge leadership that has not lived up to that standard, then we need to challenge it in order to put the people of this state back in charge. But sadly, the way my opponent is acting gives rise to the suspicion that, yeah, he's challenging the leadership and challenging the machine and challenging the bosses, but he's challenging them not because he wants to put the people in their place, but because he wants to take their place. Okay? So I would have to tell you that I think that just as we can see that the basis of our economic life requires a certain integrity, if we're going to reestablish the same standard in our political life, I think it's about time we demanded the same integrity from our political leaders. Not just that they get up early and stay up late and seek every advantage that's going to serve their own power, but that they give their word and keep it. And that when they articulate a standard that's good for the people, they live up to that standard, whether or not it cuts across their own political interests, their own selfish personal ambition. I tried to illustrate that, and will continue to do so, by pointing out that one of the things I've said throughout my political career about debates is that if your name is on the ballot, your body should be on the stage. That we shouldn't have phony ballots where we list a couple of names from the major parties, then stick on a couple of other names that qualified, but don't let them be heard. Don't you realize that when we have a ballot like that where we have, by systematic means, excluded people from debates, excluded them from media coverage, excluded them from the attention of the public, that ballot is a sham. And if part of the ballot is a sham, it gives rise to the cynical suspicion in the hearts of some people that the whole process is a sham. And when that cynicism spreads in a self-governing society, we all suffer. So I have said, and I had a press conference yesterday with the independent candidate and the libertarian candidate to make the point. Well, I think that, as the Rotarian four-way test says, one test you apply: is it fair to all concerned? The notion of excluding people who are on the ballot from debates is not fair to all concerned. Most importantly, it's not fair to all the candidates who are on the ballot, and it's not fair to the people, who, in making an informed judgment, should hear from all the candidates before they do. Doing it otherwise would be like a jury that only hears from the prosecution. Is that fair to somebody in here? Because I don't think it sounds fair to me. So I think that we need to look at this as we look, I believe, at other issues. To have strong families, we need a moral foundation. To have great and successful businesses, we need a foundation of leadership that respects the requirements of moral virtue and moral integrity. And if we mean to sustain a strong polity, then we must begin to demand political leadership that respects the moral foundations of our nation's life in freedom. It's the way I understand politics. I know I should be worried about just stitching together some coalition. Go out, put a face before people that will please them, and get them to vote for you regardless of what you believe. I know that that's the way the game is played. But as I remember that we have people dying in Iraq, risking and giving their lives, as I remember that fateful day, September 11th, when we had thousands of our fellow citizens in buildings that collapsed and that left their lives shattered and their hopes gone and their families grieving. As I remember schools where kids are sitting at desks where there aren't enough books for them to take home and do their homework. As I remember hopeless faces that long to be at work but have no jobs. Hopeless faces that long to be at peace. but have no confidence. I guess I'm reminded that this politics of ours, for all its hoopla and all its festivities, is not a game. Involved are issues of life and death, of heart and soul, of spirit and aspiration. And we need leadership that will remember that the crazy quilt of selfish interests is in the time of real need not enough. We must be more than a coalition of selfish hearts. We must be a community of people dedicated in faith to the great principles that make us Americans, the great principles that make us free. That is the goal of my political life. And I would invite all of those people in this great state of Illinois who shared that heart of principle to put aside the superficial words of those who say that we come not from the same place, not from the same home, not from the same state. For if we stand upon that common ground of principled integrity, then we have made our home on the only ground that matters, and we shall live there in hope together.
Okay, thank you, Alan Keyes. We have a television on, and this show is being televised, and it will be shown on CAN TV. And so